rutting duck anthem. A buck comes by me chasing the doe, put the beat on his shoulder and let the 12 gauge roll. Big buck down in the smell of gunpowder smoke. I got the deer wood sounding like the Alamo. And if a duck flies anywhere close to the hole, he'll be shot down quick. This is a no-fly zone. Big old Tom hollering up in a tree. When he flies down, I'll call him over to me. He'll gobble and strut, but the last thing he'll see is the muzzle flash from a 3rd degree. I'm telling you now, you better give him a listen, cause a rutting duck boys ain't never missing. I'm telling you now, you better give him a listen, cause the rutting duck boys ain't never missing.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Rut and Duck Podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is episode 9, and we've got a lot to pack into this episode in a pretty short amount of time. So, I'm Dylan Hotaling.
I'm Jay Roll. I'm Weston Hotaling.
And today's guest is somebody that has done it all in my book. I mean, there's still more to go. But he's done a lot. Been to 19 states. You've been out of the country, and whenever my wife was the one that recommended me to you because we were looking for a guest, and she was like, "Oh, this guy's killed a moose and all this stuff," and I was like, "Okay." So we went on Facebook, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So with us today we have Mr. Jaime Deaver.
What's up?
Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I enjoy this.
We're gonna try to hurry. We know you got to get to the deer stand.
Yep.
So, like I said, we got a lot to go over, but I want to start with whitetail. Since gun season comes in 2 days, there's going to be a lot of deer to hit the ground. But as you can all see, we have a beast of a deer up here. So, give us a story on this deer up here.
Well, I killed that deer in Latta, and I killed it with my spear. I'm just kidding. So every year I carry one of my daughters, whether they alternate years, but I carry them somewhere out of state hunting. Me and my oldest daughter went to New Mexico mountain lion hunting last year. We ended up hunting the edge of Colorado, the edge of Utah, the edge of Arizona, and the edge of New Mexico to kill the mountain lion we killed last year. So we went for one state and ended up with 4 states all at one time because of the way this cat ran the mountain range. It was crazy. But a couple years ago, I had my baby girl in Texas, and we got a friend that has a 500-acre exotic game farm, and it's high fenced, and they have some what they call pasture-born deer, which are deer that are not handled by humans. They're just bred just like our deer around here, but they can never leave that enclosure. Well, when we go down there and hunt, we were hunting javelina on a open range ranch or a free range ranch. And my baby girl asked me, said, "Will you call Miss Josie and see if she'll let us go look for deer sheds?" I said, "Yeah, Miss Josie will let us go look for deer sheds." So we called Miss Josie Bashins, if you're ever looking for a place in South Texas, Bashins Ranch. But anyway, Miss Josie let us go, and we went down there and we were looking, and we found all kind of sheds because they've got red stag, elk, whitetail, axis. I mean, all kind of, I don't even know how many species they have in there, but they shed. So you find all kinds of sheds. Well, my daughter said, "Did I smell something? Smells dead?" And I said, "I don't smell it, but whatever." She went over and started kicking around, and that deer was dead. Probably the day before, maybe 2 days. He was dead. And another buck bigger than him or something had killed him. I mean, he had stab wound, broken ribs on his side. So that's the kind of bucks they had in that place. And I wasn't really aware that they were that big. But and anyway, she let my little girl keep that, and so we brought it back to South Carolina with us.
Well, based off of that, if they were bigger than him, I think it's mandatory to have a gun just in case for protection. I mean, he looks like he's going to rob you.
That one just looks mean.
Yeah.
He was a beast. And we've never officially scored him or anything. We just kind of measured out a little over 200 inches. I don't do a lot of the measurements, as we were talking earlier before the podcast. Measurements to me don't mean near as much as just hunting them. But anyway, a good friend said he was 208 to 210 inches. I've had another guy say 214. He's big.
Yeah, indeed.
That looks like a deer that would be on a logo.
Do a little comparison. All right, so he's what, 119?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
And that's a solid deer. That's a solid deer. I mean,
but that makes,
if you've never seen 200, you're looking at it. This is my first look.
Yeah, I've never seen one that big before.
Maybe on the scale.
Weight
scale.
Yeah, weight scale, yeah.
But
that's crazy.
We, and I, like I say, I've never seen one until then that was that big. The next day they had a hog that was in that enclosure they were trying to get out, and they asked my little girl, did she want to stay and try to shoot it? And we went, and they cut all the feeders off in this enclosure except for one, and fed that night. And then the next morning they went back and just had one feeder on, and that hog, of course, you hear the feeders go off. They know what it means. We didn't kill the hog, but the feeder went off, and we were sitting there, and a buck every bit that size on the hoof came in, and I was just playing. I was like, Adelaide, you want to shoot that deer? And she said, I'll shoot that one, Daddy. And I was like, I looked at the guy and I asked him, how much is it? And he said, you can't afford it. I said, okay. I took the gun from a little girl and put it up. I was like, we're not shooting that deer.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would have really cost, but that was one of their, there's some monsters on those places.
Was that all right? So I stalked your Facebook to learn. We've never met before.
That's right.
And just to try to get to know a little bit about you. Was that the deer? Does it look like Texas? That red clay?
Yeah. He was coming up in an embankment.
Yeah.
And actually had another deer come out with him that was bigger on one side, but the other side was missing. I don't know if you saw that picture, but that's him. He was coming up an embankment right there into us. And where the hog was staying, it was a bow stand. So, the thing was 20 yards from us, and I'd never seen anything like that. It was just unreal. And some of those ranches down there, they have I call them the ear tag deer.
Yeah.
They were genetically enhanced, and I'm sure that deer's got some genetic things going on from years past, but the people that we were down there with, they do not do any more genetic enhancement. But yeah, anyway, these deer, they call it pasture born. Pasture born means they were not held by a human. They were not bred in a quarter acre pen or a catch pen and then, handled. These deer, literally, they're in a place just like a wild deer. Yeah. They just can't leave and the bad thing is, just like South Carolina, me and Coleman Clark, and my Uncle Mark, we hunt a piece of property that's close to 3,000 acres in Marlboro County, and we're very selective about what we shoot. So selective that a lot of our neighbors kill 120-inch deer every year that we wouldn't shoot or we've let go, and it's depressing. So, yeah. In Texas, a lot of those places that you'll run into that have the high fence places, it's not to bring in genetics on a lot of them. Some of them do, but on a lot of them. And if you get down there and talk to the people, it's just, they don't want their neighbors shooting every deer. Mm-hmm. And like I was telling about him, the neighbors beside them have the same genetics to the place we found him. And, they feed cottonseed all year. They do stop a certain time. I don't remember, it was something to do with cottonseed they stopped with. But they feed minerals all year long. These deer are just cram packed with minerals all the time. So when that's the big thing to getting those big bucks. And I'm not a high fence guy, but I'm telling you, seeing that makes me want to build a high fence here just to keep my neighbors from shooting mine.
Yeah. I understand that. Like we were talking about, we got a table full of deer over there that I'm pretty sure all of those were killed dog driving.
That's right.
But deer management around here, I think, is just starting to pick up a little bit. I think with social media, I feel like there's a shift kind of, because those bucks used to be just normal South Carolina bucks. In fact, the first few episodes we joked about shooting 3, 4, 5 points all the time and stuff.
Oh man, I gave away over 300 sets of horns to a fella from Latta wanted to build an archway, and I told him, I was like, man, I got a shop full of horns. Go get them. And he came up there with a Chevrolet. It was a 3500 dually. And it was mounded up with all the horns he carried away from our place. And I think the biggest one was a 7-point. So I grew up dog driving, hunting. And man, I remember when I was 13, I killed a 2-year-old 8-point, weighed 135 pounds. And an old guy, and he had to be in his 80s. He looked at me, he said, son, you better mount that deer. You'll never kill a deer that big in South Carolina again. And I said, what? And then another guy come up and said, he must be mixed with mule deer because he's got more than 2 points. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, hold on now. You know, I'm watching Jackie Bushman and Bill Jordan back then was on TV, and I'm watching them. I'm like, man, they're killing these, 150-inch deer was a giant, and anyway, but yeah, I mounted a 2-year-old 8-point that, might have been 60 inches of horns, and we bragged about that deer for 2 years, and shot him dog driving. And now, I still love to go on a dog drive. We got some guys that we predator hunt our place pretty hard. That's one thing we really preach on is, in management is predator control. And I still love to hear the dogs run. I just don't care to kill those 3 and 4 points no more.
Yeah. And me and Jay were talking about this the other day. We grew up dog driving, and I just left the club that I feel like before long, I feel like dog driving is going to be cut out. It's cut out everywhere else.
Well, it's good for young kids. It gets them into hunting. I'm all about people just going hunting. Get off your video games. Go outside. Have fun. Dog driving, like, for young kids, they ain't got what's it called? A time span or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, their attention span.
Attention span, yeah. So if you've got something that's like nonstop going on, it's a little easier. But now that I'm older, I like sitting in the stand when it's quiet. But
do y'all know Teddy Kill Williams, Jackson Williams from Atlanta?
Yeah. That's Jackson too. I was talking about getting on.
Yeah. You need to get them in here. And I love Jackson to death, but you need Teddy on here too.
They're Beth, his wife.
Beth.
Her niece is my wife.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, me and Teddy talk about this all the time. And there's deer hunters out there that don't believe it. I got trail cam pictures I can show you. I got a buck right now on a farm, and I'm not going to let Teddy tell you where he's at either, but he's got a double main beam, about the size of your wrist, and about an 8-inch drop tine coming off one side. I think he's got 14 scoreable points on him if you really get into all that stuff. Dude. And I had him in there opening day of bow season, 26 yards. He'd been coming in at 8:15 every day, and I needed to send an email. So I'm on my phone on the ground, bow hunting of all things. And anyway, I'm on my phone sending an email for work, and I look up, he's 26 yards chilling, just standing there broadside. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this ain't good. I dropped my phone down real easy, got my release on, got the bow back, and there was a privet limb between me and his vitals. And I started just to send it and hope,
Yeah.
And I was like, God, I better not do this. So anyway, I let the bow down, and I said, well, his head's behind a tree. I can stand up. I can get the bow back, stand up, and lean out a little bit. I can shoot him. Well, I misjudged how big the tree was and how big a guy I am. So when I leaned out, he could see me lean out, and he took off. Well, anyway, so I tell you that story about this buck. He's 6.5 years old. I've got pictures of him for 3 years. I know I can identify him every year, same deer. Teddy Kill runs our plays religiously for coyotes, bobcats, foxes to help with our turkeys and quail and stuff. And we're starting to get a pile of quail back. Well, anyway, I just scared that deer. He saw me. Teddy goes the same night and runs coyotes and bobcats, because we had a bobcat that was hanging out on one stand. Every day this bobcat was in there. Well, he goes down there just to run them, to push them out of there. And everybody tells you, you know, dogs are going to run all your bucks off. Dogs run. Within 15 minutes of the dogs going through the corn pile, going through a rifle stand corn pile, that buck's back on camera eating corn. So when I tell you, if you run dogs every single day on a piece of property, running deer, you know, jumping and running, you're going to push them bucks off. I mean, there's no doubt. But these guys running dogs for predators, or even running dogs once in a while for deer, it's not as detrimental. A human being in there is way more of a problem to the deer, you know, leaving your scent, going in, messing with a piece of property or something during deer season. I hate to see the dog hunters get a bad reputation, and some of them deserved a bad reputation. I've hunted with some that were outlaws, and you know, but you get a good reputable guy around, man. I hope dog hunting never goes away on that front.
Yeah. I mean, it's been around for forever, and like you said, I'd hate to see it go, but that's where it's going.
That's right.
Oh, there's only 2 clubs around here, like around our area, that I know of that even still do it.
Yeah.
And half of the one ain't even in this state.
Yeah.
Well, we, like I say, we got a bunch of private land that we keep leased up, and it's getting harder to keep it. We've got people coming in now offering big money. I still do a lot of management. I spend a lot of time with my landowners, and I do personal favors all the time, just trying to keep them happy. So we still got a big enough block we can run without getting on somebody else. And man, with these collars, me and Teddy were talking about it yesterday on a call. Teddy can run a coyote. A coyote's long-legged, long-winded. I mean, they'll run for hours, and man, they'll carry you all over the country. But Teddy can run a dog or a coyote, and he can tone his dogs by the collar. You know, he can tone them, and he can stop them. He can break them off of whatever they're on. You know, and we were picking, he said, you know, it don't take much of a dog man anymore to make a good dog, because you have all this technology.
Yeah.
And and I made the joke. I said, well, it don't take much to make a deer hunter either, because these cameras nowadays, I mean, they tell you everything you need to know if you can just figure out how to read it.
Yep.
But the predator control, I mean, I've got fox, coyote hide, coon hide, stuff like that. I brought a couple of them, but I love the leg hole trap. And I don't usually kill my stuff. I sell it live, or either we turn it loose somewhere else. But, you know, with these dogs, man, there's still a place for that if the people would just be respectful. But it's going to take a lot of communication between the still hunters and the dog men to respect each other. And, you know, and I love to still hunt. I really do. But there comes a time where it don't hurt to take a couple of days and let the guys bring them and bring some kids and let them shoot some does. We get about 80 doe tags a year for our place, and we try to run once or twice a year and just let kids kill deer. And as much as I love the trophy hunt, when they get there, I tell those kids button bucks are bigger, killing boys, you know, just to let the kids stay involved. My oldest daughter, we were talking about scoring a deer. When she was 12, she killed a deer, scored 152 and 3/8 gross, and killed it right here local. And that's a big deer for South Carolina. And she didn't shoot another buck for 5 years. She shot one this year on youth day, because it was her last youth day. She's going to get to hunt. She shot one this year, and a 3-year-old 8-point. And I didn't think she'd shoot it. And for years, she'd tell me, I can't never kill another one bigger than the one I've already killed. Well, she shot that 3-year-old 8-point this year and was tickled, slammed to death. And I was like, oh man, that's the kind of buck you don't want to shoot. But anyway, I mean, we got to keep it fun for the kids, but I do like to, you know, I want to see the dog hunt and stay around. I just don't think I don't think there's a viable option there with the way things are going.
The more people that are paying leases, used to it just be, you know, like I remember the first place that I ever still hunted, because coming up, all I knew was dog driving. I was like, why would you sit in a stand when you can run dogs?
That's right.
You know? And then we got this place to deer hunt, and all we did was just ask the farmer. And my granddaddy knew the farmer.
Yeah.
There was a 35-acre field, and then a little bit of the woods around it, and another area. And it was a good bit bigger, but you know, you just asked them if you can hunt, and as long as you agreed not to mess up the fields, take care of everything.
That's right.
Maybe do a little favor every now and then. they'd let you hunt. But now everybody is paying leases and offering money to hunt in these places. So people that pay the money to do this don't want somebody's dogs running all their deer all over the property, and I can understand that too.
It comes back to a respect thing, like what you were saying. Like one of the clubs I was in, they lost their rights because there was a certain part of the club you could not run dogs. Everybody knew that. Now, if your dog went over there, they didn't care. I mean, it was still part of the club. The log company just didn't want them running on it because they were still logging in it.
That's right.
You could go get the dogs. Just if a deer comes out, don't hop out and start shooting it, especially not in the head they logging.
That's right.
Yeah.
And one fella went over there, buck come across the road. He was shooting. Log truck was coming down the road, shattered the windshield in it and all that.
That was it.
Done.
Well, and you got to look at it from the logger's perspective there too. That's you
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
want that happening.
you getting at that point. I mean, it's hitting your windshield if
That's
it
right.
comes through. Because I mean, I was there, but I don't know how close it all was. I was hunting, but I wasn't there with the fella.
That's right.
So I don't know. He could have been from me to the door right there for all I know. Because some of them people was a little sketchy.
Well, and that's the problem with dog clubs is you'll have some good old guys. I got a quick story, man. I killed me a Mitsubishi 4-wheel drive pickup truck one time dog hunting on Colonel Cobb when I was about 9 years old.
You hunted Colonel Cobb too?
Yeah, that's where I grew up.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up out. I was 2 years old. I got pictures of me down there at 2 years old with Daddy making me stand on the back of a truck dog
I
hunting.
about got murdered by 3 does down there when I was like 9.
Yeah. Well, but they they had a long straightaway and they put me down there with old Brandon A5, a 2 3/4 inch buckshot, and old doe hit the road. And my dad, he actually laid down so I could shoot by him, Well, I shot every shell that A5 had in it. Didn't cut a hair on the deer, by the way. They were unharmed in the process. But the old dog man come out the woods. He said, "You get her?" I said, "Oh no, I'm running down the road." He went to get his truck to go get around in front of the dogs, and he said, "You might not have got the deer, but you got my radiator good, sure as the world." But he'd parked right there on the side. I never even saw that truck in the background, and it was blue. It was very noticeable outside of, but you get tunnel vision on those dogs. So I get both sides, but we got to find a balance somewhere because now that the thermal drone's coming out, like you're talking about, what's the first thing these trophy hunters do when they shoot a gut shot deer and he runs off? Boy, they start calling everybody they know with a dog, begging them to come. And that's when the petty side of me kicks up. I'm like, oh no, you didn't want them dog hunting. They ain't got a dog for you now. Don't put a dog, but there are some dog men that do harm to the reputation. And that's why I say you got to find some good ones. And like I say, we've been pleased with Teddy and them. They keep our coyotes and bobcats at bay. And, we're starting to see our turkey population rebuild. We're starting to see a lot of quail. I mean, I flushed 2 coveys this week down there hunting, and so that's a good sign. But
you used to never really see quail that much.
No, growing up in the 90s, we saw a good many still. And then from somewhere in the 90s, they kind of started dwindling until now. It's been pretty bad. And I went whole season and not see a single bird, and to see 2 coveys in a week is pretty strong, but a lot of that's we kill and trap the coons and the possums, and I'm not a big snake killer, but sometimes you need to take inventory on them too, because they eat eggs too, Coleman, he gets mad with him, and West and English, talking about bringing West and Coleman are friends too, that we know each other, and he I know West likes the snakes, and I'll leave them alone. I got pictures of a big rattlesnake that hangs out up under one of my box stands every year. She dens under it or something, but she's there every year. And a lot of these guys won't hunt my stand because they're like, I'm not getting around that snake, and I'm just like, well, just don't go down there kicking around in that briar bed. You'll be all right, But yeah, I like the predator control on the management side though. It really does help. And that's where the dogs, but not many people run deer with dogs anymore, but the fox hunting, the coyote hunting, I really do enjoy it with the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's getting pretty big now.
Mm-hmm.
You seen the guys that do the coyote hunting? They'll have a decoy dog.
Oh yeah.
That looks like it is fun to watch.
Yeah.
They have the dog that runs out? Like they'll have
So we used to do it with cassette tapes, and y'all gonna think I'm crazy. Have
You said cassette tapes?
Cassette tapes, just like an old tape player, little box player. And then I remember my dad, he bought in the late 80s, he bought a Johnny Stewart call, and it had a cassette player, and it had a 50-foot cord and a little speaker. And you'd walk that thing out there, man. That's how we called them. Well, then after they got smart to that, they would come in, predators pretty sharp. I mean, they can smell you, see you, but we used to start with that. But yeah, so now a lot of them's got all these alpha dog calls and stuff like that, but they'll set it up, 100 yards away, 50 yards away, whatever. And you have a dog that actually carry it with you. And so when the coyotes come in, they'll hang up a lot of times 200 or 300 yards out. And, anyway, the dog runs out, the coyote sees that dog, and it comes in on the dog. Then once the dog gets close to coyote, the dog turns around and come back to you, brings the coyote in range to kill it. It's pretty cool.
It's fun to watch.
So is it like a distress call or something?
Some of them are. The one I always had the most luck with was fox pups. Everything wants to eat a fox pup. I don't know why, but you kill bobcats, coyotes, everything. But there's all kind of sounds. But my dad used to, it looked like you remember the old tape decks the old people would have? That's what we had. He rode around in his truck. It had all kind of crow calls. It was wild, all the different calls we had for them, but it was fun.
I tell you one thing, I think the fox population is coming back up. I seen, right past Fred's, like if you're going toward my house, there was 3 of them on the side of the road right there the other night. They wasn't dead. They were just hanging out.
I used to have a stand in Lakeview that every afternoon there was a bunch of squirrels in there and, a bunch of birds. And every afternoon it would start getting dark, and that fox would come through every night chasing the squirrels, trying to get them a squirrel. And he'd come right under stand and he'd run all through there. But yeah, they're seen a lot of foxes.
When I was like young, I didn't really see foxes like that. Yeah. I wasn't out looking for them or nothing, but
well, we trap. We do a lot of leg trapping and all, and like I was telling about the coyote, we'd accidentally did damage to him, so we killed him. We don't normally kill any of the stuff we catch. If we can move it, we'll move it. Some landowners will make you, but we try to turn a lot of our gray foxes back loose. They don't really do as much damage, so we try to turn some of those back loose if we can. Some people just insist that you
can take them to the fox pen, can't you?
Oh yeah. It's legal to sell them to. We just, because of the population for so long, we kind of started putting out. And like I told you earlier, I was a bit tough on the game years ago, and now I'm more on the conservation side. I'd rather catch the coyotes and carry them to the fox pen, and most of the bobcats we move. I'm getting so soft-hearted. We caught 2 little baby red foxes a few years ago, and my wife hand raised this little red fox, and somebody took the sister, and then we ended up getting the sister back as they got a little bit older. And I still, every year I keep a camera on my house, because when it gets cold, that fox comes back and goes under my house to get warm. So we quit trapping anywhere around my house now. And, I'll buy chickens just to let him eat them every year if I have to. I love that little fox.
That fox got it made.
Yeah.
About like Peanut that Nanny had. That dog was eating Fred's and KFC every day.
Well, this was a little small red, a male red. And, he won't come to you anymore. For a long time, he'd come to you, got in the yard, but the first time they come in heat, he was gone. He figured out what girls were, and he left us. But
and that's the best of us.
That's right. Yeah. It gets all of us. That's right. But yeah, that's so. Like I say though, with the coyotes and stuff though, we do try to get them in a pen, get them out the way. But the foxes, I do like to see them have a chance to survive, because the coyotes are pretty rough on them.
Well. So, like we said, you got a lot to go over, and I know everybody sees this guy sitting here.
Yep.
I didn't know what these were until not very long ago. I didn't even know these existed in America.
I didn't know until you said something about them.
I thought they were only in like New Zealand and stuff like that.
So I'll let you explain what this is and where they are.
So this is a Sika It's spelled Sika, not Sitka like everybody else. I had a pile of people, oh, that's like Sitka, like the clothes we wear. And I'm like, no. It's a Sika, and the locals up there pronounce it Sika. I still say it's Sika, or, I just don't pronounce my I's like that. But however you want to pronounce it. And like I say, that's not as big as they get, but that's pretty close. I mean, I would consider that like everybody right here knows a 4 or 5 year old deer. That's what that would be. They get up 100, maybe 110 pounds. And I think he was 95 to 100. Generally a big one will be a 6 point, and he broke off his 6 little G2, I guess you would call it, but they're a miniature elk, from Japan, and they bugle, and it's not like an elk bugle, but it is a bugle. It's more of a squeal. But you can call them just like you do an elk, but they're in the marsh. And some of the funnest hunting, but it was tough. You needed to be there all day, and you had to have your eyes peeled. You couldn't be on your phone playing. I mean, if you wasn't paying attention, they'd get by you. But I was lucky enough to get a pretty decent one the first time I went, and I keep talking about going back, which I didn't. They're in the Delmarva Peninsula, which is where Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia's land kind of comes together on that one little peninsula, is where the biggest population of them, and they are moving some. They're starting to see them in other places. I'm on a bunch of sites online that track them, and they kind of put on there about all the different regulations and all. It's not really an expensive hunt if you want to go on one, but Chris Sherman is who I hunted with at Barneck Outfitters. And it's not like whitetail hunting around here, though, where you're going to see 20 a day and you're going to get to pick out a decent one and shoot it. I saw one hind, which is the doe or the female. I saw one small hind one morning for just a few minutes, and they bounce like a mule deer. So she come bouncing in there. I didn't know what. I thought a big rabbit or something. She probably weighed 50 pounds. And they come bouncing in there, and it kind of spooked me for a second. I was like, what am I looking at? And then that was the second one I saw in 5 straight days of hunting, daylight to dark, hard hunting. And but it was pretty neat to hear them bugle. You'd hear them bugle all over the old Phragmites swamps. I don't know if the land's sinking. You hear all kind of conspiracy theories. They say the land's sinking. Some of them say the water's rising. But whatever the case, like we have planted pines around here, water's getting in it. Salt water's getting in it. So it's killing the pine trees. There's still a few rows of pines in places. And then it's just that old sawgrass and all out there. And that's what they thrive in. So the whole time you're hunting, you're just in swamp. I mean, like I was saying earlier, we were hunting. I was watching black ducks and mallards swim up under us while I was hunting. And I mean, that was pretty cool. Oh, yeah. But it felt awkward to be sitting up there with a high powered rifle day watching ducks swim around, I was kind of like you looking for that one band. I was like, you step up on a log, let me see a band now.
But, he got jewelry on him.
But, so what did you use to shoot that?
Well, you know how old people are. They kind of have that one gun. You remember your granddads or dad or whoever, great granddad. Oh man, I shot this with my 30. I shoot a 270. I shoot a 270 Weatherby if I go hunt big game somewhere, and I shoot a 270 Winchester if I'm hunting anything else. And I've killed stuff all the way. I killed a warthog, a wildebeest in South Africa, shooting my little old 270. And I mean, people, good shot placement, good bullets. You ain't got to have all that extra, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to shoot all dad this year. You know what that is? A Barbary sheep. Y'all got to look those up. I wish I had a way to bring it up and show everybody. They it's kind of, we call it the poor man's mountain goat or mountain sheep. I mean, it's a lot cheaper than those $60,000 mountain goat hunts and stuff, but or the bighorn sheep. But anyway, I'm going to shoot one of those, and they can get up 300 pounds, and they're 400 or 500 yard shots in the mountains of right there in West Texas, Mexico is where they are. And I upgraded my bullet a little bit and found me a different bullet I like. And I'm gonna shoot a few deer, make sure I like everything in some of these bean fields. But I shoot a 270, and that's what I killed him with. And if I dug it out and showed it to y'all would laugh at all the hunts I go on, and then they'd look at that little gun and, But I'm gonna tell you, some of the stuff it's killed is unreal.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm all with the 270s.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
what I
that
shoot.
Savage I got.
I shoot a now the one I shoot right now. I grew up. I'm a Remington 700 man, and I wore my last Remington out to where it couldn't shoot a 3-inch group at 100 yards. It was bad. I shot it out so bad, and I found an old farmer who had a Browning A-Bolt 270, the stalker, the little short barrel, all that. And I like a short barrel, and I just like a black synthetic stock. Just my personal preference. And he had left it in the back seat of his work truck so long that the scope was bent. I mean, the scope looked like a horseshoe on the thing almost. I mean, bent. It had been laying there so long. Like, we literally had to take a cleaning rod and clean the rust out the barrel. And the guy, I had 80 gallons of diesel fuel in a tank on my truck. And I was coming in from loading one of my pieces of equipment one day, and I said, man, what do you take for that old rifle? He said, you fill that tractor up right there with that diesel fuel, you can have it. That's what I got in with 80 gallons. Diesel fuel, $2 a gallon. I got $160. I bet it tells you what kind of shape the gun's in. We cleaned it, and I like to shoot a nozzle partition. I'm a 130 grain nozzle partition. Just a bullet I like to shoot in my 270s, and 100 yards, shoot a 1/2-inch group. 400 yards, I can still put about a 3-inch group. I love it. So I've been shooting
out there.
Oh yeah, I used to be one of the few people I knew of that would shoot long range.
Yeah,
and Coleman hunts with us. He's got some guys from his work, man. They brought some rifles in last year, and we got one field. It's 840 yards from the stand to the end of the field. And dude, they were shooting does. I mean, it was so bad when you'd hear the gun, boom, you'd sit there a second, you'd hear it pop, you'd hear it hit the deer. I mean, it was crazy. I was like, I don't know how far they were shooting those deer, but
You got to measure the curvature of
They
the
got
earth to hit them freaking deer out there.
They got them 300 blackouts, 50 cal.
These boys are shooting, which Coleman went to I think a 28 Nosler is what he's shooting, and that's a pretty bad gun. I mean, I really like it, but just old school, man. Just when I wear this one out, I might move up. I love to bow hunt, and I shot an old cheap bear bow. It was a nice compound for what we had at the time, but that thing was probably 11 years old, and I finally traded up and bought me a Matthews last year. And I used to tell those guys, hey, man, y'all don't know what you're talking about. You know, them bows are not that nice. Let me tell you, they're that nice. From what I grew up shooting to what we shoot now, there's no comparison.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm sorry I got off on a tangent about that.
Oh, you fine.
I mean, you good.
Yeah.
But,
This is all interesting.
Yeah.
I wish I had, I was going to try to, if we had service here, I would have liked to be able to pull up a video or just be able to hear the sound they make when they bugle.
That's right.
Cause it's kind of creepy.
I might can pull it up on the
Yeah.
work.
See if you can get it.
They it's like a squeal almost.
Yeah.
And they make these little calls. I bought one while we were up there. Like we got them here,
Yeah.
but it's like a high pitch elk, you know. I bought one of the Sika calls while we were up there.
I bet that's probably about ear piercing if you're close to them and they do that.
It's not as sharp, but it's just high pitch. Yeah.
Are you ready? It is Sika, right?
Yep.
All right. This is the. Should I do it in the mic?
Yeah.
Try it in the mic.
It's 28 seconds. Or should I do the?
Or just get to the part. We'll talk till you get to the part where it actually bugles.
But the Sika hunt, man, if you ever get to go on one of those, be prepared for 5 days. Just get your mind right. It's cold and it's windy, but be prepared to not be on your phone. I mean, you got to really be a hunter to sit up there and deal with that, you know?
Yeah. You got, it's loading.
It went fast. Just tapping it in.
Yeah. Do you think if they ever get past, could they make it like around like the Georgetown area?
They wouldn't make it that far. They'd got caught up my dog drive somewhere. Somebody's kid be like, "What is this?"
You know, yes, I feel like, because that's the same exact stuff. I don't know what the population could get to. And if you look on there, the population was getting so high that it was starting to do crop damage like the deer and all are here. So I don't know that our farmers would let that fly.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they would push for that to be out.
We got enough problem with deer.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Man, but I'd love to see them, you know, but in Texas, you go to Texas, you can hunt a low fence ranch, just old cattle ranch. And in certain parts of Texas, I put a bid in on a farm the other day, and my wife flipped out. I called a farm, they called a ranch. And I hate to even tell you what kind of bid I put in on it, but I was gonna have to sell about everything I got around here to afford it. But man, we were hunting out there one year on a low fence ranch, and my little girl was with me. She said, "Daddy, there's a zebra behind us." I was like, "What?" So I turn around and look out the back of the blind, and sure as the world, here comes 7 zebra walking by us. But they had got out of one of these ranches somewhere, and they just, I mean, it's the craziest thing. But man, you see a kudu like from South Africa or Africa. I mean, you just out there and a kudu will walk by. And
what does a zebra even eat?
They're just like a horse. That's
I
where
wonder what all the plural terms are for these different animals, like kudu. I wonder if if you just put the S on the end, or if you do kudai.
I can tell you what a not so smart guy from Marlboro County says.
What?
It was a whole bunch of kudu. That's all I can tell you. But man, it's unreal to go out there and see some of the animals that you see. And nilgai. Have you ever seen a nilgai? I've been talking with a guy about a nilgai hunt. They're free range. They're more on the southeast side of Texas. I think it was the Kennedy Ranch, had a bunch of those, and something happened. So what happens on a lot of these, the illegals coming in from Mexico will cut the fences to drive through, hauling people through. Well, you got these big high fence ranches with all this exotic stuff on it, and then they cut a hole big enough to drive a truck through, and then when they get to the other side of the ranch, they cut another hole. Well, then all the game, if you don't notice it for a day or two, your game's getting out and getting out on. So, but anyway, the Kennedy Ranch down there, I think, who had most of the nilgai, but all around that Kennedy Ranch, there was a thing out last year that said they think they had about 11,000 free range nilgai. Well, I read an article the other day that said we were way off. There's 37,000 free range nilgai in South Texas right now. And one of the articles under it, or spurred off of it, said, "No, I think you're wrong. I think there's more than that." But I mean, it's almost 100% success rate on free range nilgai. And so my wife don't really know it yet. I hope she's not watching when we put this out, but
you got a week.
Yeah, there you go. I got the sugar up on that one, but
I have to rub some feet when you get home or something.
Right. Well, we hunt Oklahoma every year with a group of guys, really good group of guys I've been going with for a while. We'll go out there and duck hunt, and then I deer hunt in the afternoon, and leaving there and going and shooting sandhill cranes.
Oh man, I would love to do that.
We're only going to do one day, man.
They say that them things are delicious.
I've always heard that.
They say it's like the ribeye of the sky or whatever they call it.
Well, I had 3 in Dillon County last year.
I saw them.
By Harbor Freight.
Yep.
I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, don't listen to that part.
Yeah, we got him now.
So I can hunt a little piece right there. Another friend of mine deer hunts it. So where they were sitting, I called the game warden, buddy of mine. And I told you, I'm trying to be on the up and up and trying to do things right. So I called the game warden. I was like, "Hey man," I ain't gonna say his name on here. I said, "I see 3 sandhill cranes." I said, "And I can't hunt the field they're in." I said, "And I'm going to have to shoot across a paved road." I said, "But I can legally stand on the land I'm hunting and shoot them." I said, "What would a ticket be for me trespassing and shoot them?" And he said, "Well, a ticket for trespassing ain't the bad problem." I said, "What's that?" He said, "They're protected in South Carolina." He said, "So you're going to be in trouble for that." I said, "Well, how much is that ticket?" And it was way more. It's cheaper just to fly to West Texas or Western Oklahoma and just hunt them out there just in case y'all ever if you ever get the urge to shoot one, it's cheaper to go out there and do it.
Yeah.
But I was trying to be up, and I called him. And I told him, I was like, "I'm fixing to kill these. Just go ahead and meet me and write me the ticket, and then I'm clear." That was my reasoning behind it.
Technically not an outlaw. You paid your thing.
That's right. And I called and told him. I said,
he's doing it illegal, but the right way.
Right, But I mean, how many sandhill cranes do you see in your life in South Carolina?
We rode by. I was with my wife, and we were going to one of our friends' house, and we rode by. I was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "That's sandhill cranes." And she was like, "Okay." And I said, "You just don't know."
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
wondered, how did they even end up here?
There's some that are on the East Coast that come down, and I mean, it's just like golly, I got a friend of mine sent me a video, and I can't remember if it was him hunting or something, but they were duck hunting in Florida last year, and a daggum flamingo flew by them, and they videoed this flamingo. I was like, why didn't y'all kill it? First time. I mean, how many people in America has got a flamingo mounted in their living room, And
it ended up being some famous pet from the zoo or something.
But they just had a video of the thing. I mean, they didn't know nobody shot it. So, I mean, I guess that's they were sportsmen about it. But
ostrich better not run by me. I can tell you that.
I have seen emu. I've never seen an ostrich in here, but I've seen emus get out of people's fences before. There was one that was on the loose through Clo and Dillon. Y'all remember seeing it on Facebook last year?
I think, yeah, I did.
We work over that way a lot. Our shop's actually in Clo, where we do all our forestry spraying out of. And they were talking about it. So we all rode around looking for him, and you just happen to see him some random place, but I think they finally got him.
He'd be up there at the gas station.
But
Yeah, got any snacks to distribute?
You got that?
But yeah, it finally loaded up. Should I do it into the mic, or you think it'll be too loud? Kind of hold it back here.
You can show it in the mic. It'll be fine. I can turn that segment down a little bit.
He's a zoo animal.
that's it.
Sounds like Lakeland.
That's just like a
Baby.
little elk.
Let's see. Is that the Dabrowski or whatever, the big one, or is that the smaller one?
I mean, he don't look that great.
We don't know.
Yeah. There's one, like I said, it'd get up like 200 pounds or so, and then these are just a little bit smaller.
He looks like
That's like this one, I think. Yeah.
Probably up close, it sounds different
That's
than
right.
farther away.
Are they loud with it?
I mean, it's pretty loud. You can hear it 500 or 600 yards away.
Oh
That's
man,
loud.
they better not sneak up on us in the swamp. I'll be like, what's that fella I used to work with unloaded on the 3 does with the AR? I'll be
Yeah.
there. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
I mean, it's pretty cool. Now, when I killed him, he came across, I'd heard him bugle. I believe it was him. I heard one bugle from that side a couple times, and we're looking just down a straight lane right in front of us, about 10 foot wide. And, I mean, you're just staring at this lane, just looking for anything out of the ordinary. And, the water was about knee deep, and you'd figure 100-pound doe, what she would be like coming through knee deep water. You don't see much of her body. Well, anyway, I just happened to look to my right, and the wind was blowing from my left to my right, and one of those big tall pieces of reed grass just kind of it went against the wind. I said, that's odd. Well, about 25, 30 yards closer, it did it again. And in my mind, I was like, man, that's got to be either a deer coming through or a Sika coming through, whatever. Something's coming. That's not normal. I mean, they don't go against the wind. And I was literally, I mean, I got a pretty nice pair of binoculars, and I'm like staring, man. I'm talking about this thing had made it all the way out in that lane. I never saw him. And when he turned his head and the sun glared off his little horns, I mean, he ain't got much to look for. But when I was like, oh my gosh, there he is. So then I had to put my binoculars down and get the rifle up. And I was scared to take my eyes off of him, because I was scared I'd lose him in that grass and that just marsh stuff.
Is the hunting regulations for them like shooting times like the same for whitetail? Or?
Yeah, I mean, they have the same one. Now, I don't know. One of the guys we talked to, the old guys down there, my Uncle Mark killed one that was a spike. The actual was a little bit bigger body than him, but it was just a tall spike. And they messed the cape up on his at the processor.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy told us, he's like, game wardens do not care if you just ride around and shoot one out the window. They just want them gone because they get into farm fields. And we're like, man, we're in Maryland. I'm not going and just riding around poaching one out somebody's field.
Yeah.
That'd be the one guy that was a trophy hunter that'd been watching this thing so I was like, y'all can go shoot one, but Jamie's going back to the.
Are they like invasive or something? Or
Yeah, I mean, they're an invasive species. Yeah.
So do you know how they got here?
Man, I read an article, and I can't remember the dates, but it seems like in the early 1900s or maybe the late 1800s, there was a guy brought them over and had them in captivity. And I don't remember if he got sick or if he died, but anyway, instead of killing, he really liked them. And instead of killing them, he just opened up his fence and would let them go eat right there. And that's where they started from, is what that article said. Now, you know how the internet is. Just because on the internet don't mean it's true.
That's been a long time then.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know they existed, like I said, until about a year or two ago.
That's right. Yeah, like I say, that's one of the pretty cool things about them is a lot of people don't know. The only way Buddy Piner, I'm sure y'all know taxidermy. Some years back, when I was just out of forestry school and me and my wife were struggling. I went by there just speaking to Buddy, being social, and he was mounting one for a guy. And I told my wife, I was like, I'm gonna hunt one of them one day. I've been 20 something years before I got to go, but I finally got down there and got one. But that's how I found out about them, was seeing, because like I say, we didn't have the phones with the internet. It wasn't readily available. Now you see all this stuff all the time, and you're like, man, that's pretty cool. But anyway, I didn't have all that. I saw him in Buddy Piner's shop. I was like, I'm going to kill one of those.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of a personal question, but you said back in the day, you and your wife were struggling. Me and Jay feel that.
On a hard note.
Yeah.
It's rough starting out.
Because my wife has not grown up around people that hunt.
Yeah.
Like, nobody in her family really hunts. So I was used to hunting religiously every weekend, and then 2 to 3 times during the week being out in the woods. And that was just normal to me. And then, having kids slows it down a lot. And then, so, we've had some disagreements about hunting and stuff.
You could do a whole segment in here with my wife, and I could just sit over there and hold my head down in shame. Now I grew up, we didn't go to church. My dad worked for the school district of Marlboro County. He was a supervisor. He worked from 7:30 to 3:30, and 3:30, you better have your mess together, because he'd come home and he took a shower, and he smoked. He'd smoke in a tree stand, but he took a shower before he went hunting. I never figured that out.
Smoking in a tree stand does not affect them.
Man, back then, I can remember hunting all year, not seeing but 10 deer all year long, and hunt 5 and 6 days a week, and he'd always kill 7 or 8 bucks somehow. And it might be spikes, might be 4 points, but he'd always kill 7 or 8, and I'd hunt just hard as I could, might not see that many, but anyway, I grew up that way. I mean, we didn't even fish, because fishing was just wasting your time that you could be getting ready for hunting season. Now we hunted foxes. We didn't have coyotes back then. We hunted foxes. We hunted crows. We hunted doves, ducks. I mean, that was all it was about, was hunting. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, my wife didn't grow up hunting or around anybody hunted either. And she was big in church. And I was like, you're not wasting my day that I could be hunting, So needless to say, the first 10 years, I bet, of our marriage was bad. Yeah. Man, it was bad. And not that it was anything, but I hunted just as hard, and I thought she was something wrong with her, because why don't you want to hunt like this,
Yeah.
And she would hunt with me some, and she's killed some really nice deer. She don't care nothing about it. She goes with me, and if we see a nice buck, she shoots it. And if not, she can shoot better than I can. I'll give her that. I mean, her and my oldest daughter, good gracious, they can shoot. And my baby girl loves to shoot a shotgun. Anyway, I've taught them well,
Yeah.
but I will say this, my little girl, when she was 10, found out she had cancer, and we went through 6 months of treatments and got to know a lot of people. And as you can tell, I don't mind telling anything. And I didn't, to say it the best way I know, we kind of found Jesus. And I hate to think that it took that for me to find it, but I will not go on Sunday. And it's not that I won't hunt on Sunday, because I still believe that that's my relaxation. That's my rest. I don't think there's a problem with hunting on Sunday, but I made some promises through that I'm trying to hold up to on my end. So our marriage is better now than it's ever been. And a lot of that's just because I hate to say it this way, but I had to grow up a little bit, but I've always worked hard. I've always tried to save money, try to invest money, and we're in a little different place than where we were starting out. I mean, I had a bird dog that stayed in the house with us, and I love to quail hunt, love birds, and I cared more about that dog sometimes than I should have. I just put it that way. So
yeah,
between growing up a little bit, getting in church, I've found a little more balance now. when we start going on trips hunting, I work 6 days a week most time of the year at least, up to about mid-November. And then we finish forestry spraying, and we finish that. Man, I take off and I hunt hard. Now there'll be some Sundays I'll miss church, but it'll be because I'm out of town.
Yep.
If I'm here, now we go to 8:30 service. If something happens and we're not going to have service to 10, I'm going hunting, you know, but I'm not going to miss church. And like I say, ain't nothing wrong with hunting on Sunday, in my opinion. I'm not going to miss church to do something for me, you know? So the only advice I can give you on a young family, take plenty of pictures of your kids. If you got a video camera, take videos of your kids, because you'll miss it. And just remember, there'll be one day when they kind of get on their own and you'll have plenty of time to hunt. That's not what I did. So I can't say anything if you don't, but there's a few things I miss that I'll never get to see with them again. The good thing is my daughter will be 17 in about 2 weeks. So in the next 8-10 years, I'm looking at hopefully being a grandpa or something, and then I'll get to do it right next time.
That's
you know,
right.
That's just a little personal thing from me. But do I regret hunting as much as I did? No, because I wasn't at bars. I wasn't doing anything else that young men get into. So if I had to choose something bad, I'm glad it was hunting.
Yeah.
You know, never been a drinker, nothing like that. I mean, I wanted to hunt, you know. I could have done it a little less though.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got a lot of memories to look back on.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm sure we could probably make like 5 episodes of you just telling stories. But yeah, I mean, me and Jay both have little girls.
Yep.
We had girls first, and we both just had little boys like right at the same time. And so like my little girl's 5. She's talking about she wants to go deer hunting. So I'm gonna start taking her deer hunting this year. And my little boy, I know, you know, I can't wait for that.
There's no other option.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I never had a little boy. I had both girls, and we didn't have the money, so it was like, okay, that was it. You know, now I wish I could adopt every kid we see sometimes, but I'd love to have more, but we stopped. And I tell you, my oldest girl killed her. She turned 6 on September 15th, which used to be opening day of deer season, which, man, that was a kick in the face that, you know, opening day of deer season, I had a buck picked out to hunt, and my wife's water broke the night before, and we in the hospital on opening day. We came home from the hospital. I dropped her off at the house with the baby, and I went hunting straight to the woods. Didn't stay with her. Didn't say, "You okay?" I'm talking about it. I didn't kick her out the truck, but it was that close. You know, you got to hurry. I got to go. And I killed a 430-pound hog. And I was so tickled with this hog. I came home. By then, her mom had got there to help her. I got her mom to come outside and take pictures of my hog instead of helping her with that new baby in the house. So that was our first baby. So that just tells you my wife's pretty tough. You know, she handled that, and why she did, I don't know, but she did. But my oldest girl, at 6 years, turned 6 on February 15th or September 15th, and she killed her first deer on September 29th. 6 years old, held the gun by herself. I still to this day, I don't hold the gun for them. I ain't one of those dads that if you can do it, you can do it. If you can't, then you don't need to be shooting. And but she held the gun by herself, shot the deer by herself, everything, did her own safety, the whole 9 yards. My baby girl, she turned 7 in June and killed her first deer the first day of September season that year. So those girls can get it done. I mean, they
probably killed bigger bucks than I have. Well, I know they have.
Yeah. My baby girl's biggest one's in the 130s. And my oldest girl's, like I say, netted 129 and something, but it actually grossed 152 and 3/8.
I think they've all killed bigger bucks.
Yeah.
And the bad thing, the 152 that my oldest girl killed on September 22nd, he was 363 yards from us. She wasn't comfortable. And I said, "Well, baby, I'm not letting that deer leave." So I put the gun on the sandbag, squared up on his neck, and all you could see was his neck and the front of his chest. I squeezed it off, and he hit the dirt. I just smoked him. I was so shook up, I couldn't get down to walk down there to him. And we finally got down there, and the deer was gone. You shoot the deer in the neck, they ain't there. When you get there, you got a problem.
Yeah.
You know, no blood, no hair. But, I mean, we watched the deer crumble. I'm talking about it was just I mean, it was like picture perfect, just crumble. Well, never saw him again. And I'm like, oh man, I have shot deer bad. He ran off and died. You know, biggest buck we've ever had. Somewhere in November 14th, 15th, I killed 137 or 39 inch 10 point on another farm. And I took that camera down and went and put it on a little 4 acre piece of property we got. That buck was held up in that 4 acres. And, anyway, so I put the camera up, and it wasn't a texting camera. I put the camera up. I went back a couple of days later and checked it, and there he was. And I was like, oh man, he's still alive. Well, we hunted all week, hard as we could hunting, and messing with the wind and trying to go. And one day I sat all day long every day. And one day, like 11:15, my boss called me. So I got out, walked out to the truck and called him back, talked to him like 20, 30 minutes, come back in, get in the stand, sit in the dark. You sit all day. It's pretty tough. But
Yeah.
I mean, the deer that size, I was hunting him. When I checked the camera the next day and put out more corn, deer was there. Like I was out there talking to Dickie for 22 minutes, and the deer was there like 16 minutes of the 22. I was in there 27 minutes, whatever. But the deer was there over half the time I was gone.
And
And I'd have
watched you leave.
That's what I felt like, you know. But that Sunday afternoon, my oldest daughter, she said, "Dad, I'm gonna go hunt with you." I said, "All right." So we hunting one deer, and that's it. You ain't shooting nothing else. And the deer come out on my right about 50 yards. And she said, "There's a deer." And I looked, and I was like, oh my God, that's him. I took the gun from her again, second time, you know. And I squared up on him, and I was going to shoot him left-handed. And I said, man, he was walking towards the road. And I was like, God, if I shoot this deer twice in front of her, she's going to hate me, you know. So I put the gun between us. And I said, if he goes to that road, you can kill him. If he comes back over here, I'll kill him. Deer never hit the road. I was like, oh gosh, 30, 45 minutes goes by and I'm about to start crying. I'm talking about like mental breakdown, you know? And I look down the road and I could see half his rack. He was standing in the road looking at us. And I'd reached over and put the gun up there with one hand and turn her head. When she saw it, you could see her start trembling.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, she sees him. And he went to walk across the road and he about made it all the way across the road. And I yelled at him. He stopped. She shot, bam. She said, "Daddy, I missed him." I said, "What?" And she was like, "I think I missed him." And I was like, "Why?" She said, "I don't know. That crosshair was just all over him." I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. You know, I was like, 2 times this deer's going to get by us. And we went to where he was standing in the road, and the deer was so smart. There was a corn pile down there at like 210 yards. He would not go to that corn pile. He crossed that road at like 80 yards, and all he was doing was circling, scent checking those corn piles for does, I guess, you know, but he would not go in and eat until midday or midnight. He wouldn't in the afternoon and the morning. He wouldn't ever go. Well, anyway, walked where the deer was standing, no blood. I'm like, man, we have missed this deer again. And, I just happened to shine, a light to my left, and I saw one little drop of blood on a leaf, and I went to crying. I was like, oh, we got him bloodied up. We got him now. And, he was in about 30 yards piled up. Man, I cried like a baby. Anyway, brought him out, took pictures, of course, showed him off and everything, and carried him to William Babb, was at the time was the only taxidermist around, and I carried him to his Dub's taxidermist, William Babb. Anyway, I carried him to William, and I said, "William," I said, "got to mount this one good, man." I was like, "This is important." Well, he started skinning him out, and he called me. He said, "Man, somebody shot this deer through the neck." I thought he'd heard the story, you know, and I'm like, "Man, I hate you. Why'd you bring this up?" He's like, "Dude, there's a hole through this deer's neck." And you could actually, I got him mounted. I told him, I said, "I don't care what you do, turn his head to where you can see the scar." And he said, "All right." Well, you can see the scar right through his neck. And I was literally 1/4 to a 1/2 inch to the right. But at 363 yards, I mean, that's a poke, you know, but I was 1/4 to a 1/2 inch to the right of hitting anything vital. And it just went through the muscle on the side of his neck and just poked a hole through him. And so he's mounted in our house right now with his neck turned that way. And everybody that talks about her deer, she has to tell them that's where Daddy missed him, you know. And I'm just like, thanks.
So it didn't.
Hey, the whitetail are tough.
Oh yeah,
Especially them
Very
bugs.
tough. You remember the story I was telling you about when I would take Charles hunting? I had a buddy, I would take him hunting, and he's never. Dang, that was loud, was it not?
You good?
yeah.
But I was taking him hunting, trying to get his first deer, and I was like, "You can kill a doe, whatever you want to kill, really." I didn't know he shot at the deer's head, so he shot. Gave her some time because he was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got her." I was like, "All right," we get down there. I don't find nothing. I'm like, "All right, well, you just clean missed him." check the camera 2 days later. There's a doe missing most of her nose. I've got a picture on the phone. I'll show you when we get done there. But there's some tough little deer.
We had a doe a couple years ago showed up on our place, a whole bottom jaw just hanging. And the guy that hunts next to us, I text him, was like, Bo, if y'all see this deer, please kill her and get her out of her misery. I went down there and tried to sneak in and shoot her, and the wind was wrong. She smelled me before I got there. And I mean, how in the world she could smell with her, but she got out of there before I could shoot her. He was like, yeah, I shot her in the face and she must have got away. And I'm like, why would you shoot a deer like that? You know, I mean, and I know sometimes things just happen, but boy, that thing hurt my feelings. See that deer out there hanging out like that, you know?
Yeah. I've only shot one deer in the head, but that was with a shotgun at about 25 yards.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and I ain't no saint, I promise. Shooting depredation tags, we had to shoot a bunch every year, and shoot them in a bean field. A lot of times you don't have an option.
Yeah.
I mean, but if I got a deer standing there, and I've had guys, well, I ain't looking for her. I'm shooting her in the head or the neck. She's either there or she ain't, you know, and I'm just like, I'd rather drag her 30 yards back out to the road than to have one suffering for 2 weeks until it starves to death or whatever because of something I did. But, you know, I mean, that's just part of it. I mean,
accidents happen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
A few years ago, I was hunting with Daddy one time, and it was when it started getting late and dark, and we were sitting in the stand, and this was long before I had killed my first deer, and we had the rifle, and you couldn't hardly see, but you could see the deer in the scope. I don't remember how far it was. It wasn't close. I know that.
Yeah.
And I was just I wanted to kill a deer so bad. I just wanted to do it. And she was behind a tree. And I was like, Daddy, just let me shoot her in the face. Just let me shoot her in the head. And then at the time I got mad because he wouldn't let me do it, but now it's kind of like, that was probably a good idea.
Man, golly, when I first started out, I've shot at deer 80 and 100 yards with a shotgun, and that's why I say I ain't no saint when it comes to that. I mean, and that's why I'm not knocking anybody for now. I take my time. It's not as important to kill one, you know. And I'm sitting there shooting them with a bow and arrow. And if you want to talk about losing deer, that's the way to do it. You know?
Arrows.
And I've been shooting a recurve the past few years, and I'm going to hunt with a recurve. And, man, I'm going to tell you, you talking about missing deer? I have missed a pile of them with that recurve already.
All right. We've talked about this just about every episode.
Now that you've said that you have hit or shoot a recurve, have you ever had any mishaps with a recurve?
Oh, which kind and what kind?
Well, has the string ever smacked you on your boob?
Not necessarily my boob, no. I've hit my face, my hand.
I'm going to take the boob over the face because, man, I picked up one for the first time. It was his. And, man, I felt like Robin Hood at first. It was going good. I was like, man, heck yeah.
It was about 8 yards from the target.
Yeah. I'm out there, and I've never shot bows like, I mean, I used to have a practice bow, but I ain't never nothing like that. And I went to, was it my last shot?
Oh,
well, yeah, it was definitely my last shot. And I pulled that thing back, and I let it go, and that thing smacked the crap out of me. I was leaking. I was like, holy crap. I told Dylan, I said,
It was your last shot, whether you were planning on it or not.
Yes. That thing left a hickey on me.
Do you know how with a compound bow, once you pull it back a certain length, it'll go ahead and just pull itself on back? A recurve don't do that. You just got to pull it. Yeah. After about the second time I shot that one, I'd be sitting there shaking like that, trying to pull it back.
Yeah.
Man, I had a little tiny 6-pointer 7-point come out last year, and I was hunting with it on the ground. I don't know why I thought I was being Robin Hood or something, but anyway, this buck come out, man, and I was jacked up. I'm talking about, it's fixing to happen right here. This is it, you know. And deer's at 18 yards, and I shoot a 40-yard target pretty good with it. I mean, I'm pretty comfortable. And man, I cranked back on that thing, you know, in a recurve. I don't shoot no sights. I mean, it's truly traditional, and I cranked back on that thing, and I must have just had to give it a little extra, and I pulled it back way. And when I let go, it hit the back of my ear. That was my first little bit of evidence that I had a problem. Anyway, the air I could have shot over this building we're in. That air shot that far over that deer's back. I'm talking about it was 12, 14 foot in the air. It lobbed out there. I was like, golly, it was so bad the deer bounced off, looked around, and walked back to the corn. I knocked another arrow, cranked it back. Time I let it go, it burnt my ear up again. I don't know what I was doing, but
He had you all messed up.
I mean, 2 different times I sitting there and hit my ear and shot over him at least as high that time. But anyway, I could have shot doves, I reckon, but I never cut a hair on that deer.
Dang, I'm happy I didn't do another shot. If that happened to me again, back to back, man,
Yeah, but,
it'd probably been missing.
Well, I live in town right now, so I had a compound, and I was like, I need to take it and get it restrung and get the sights redone because I don't have a bow press, and I don't know enough about a bow to do all that. So I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna shoot a bow, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna be all out. So that's when I got the recurve and started shooting that. And let me tell you, shooting a bow in town where there's houses everywhere, I had to quit. I was launching people's yards. I launched one. I was scared to death. It went through somebody's window or somebody's dog or somebody's kid. I was like, you know what? This is it. I can't keep
You
doing
just
this.
hear
Yeah. I stood there for a second waiting to hear something. And I was like, nope. And I ran in the house, put it up.
man,
you ran in the house.
That's Skadoodle.
growing up, me and a boy named Brandon Betcher used to shoot bows all the time. And we lived in a little neighborhood, and we called it the poor lake side. Grew up in Bennettsville, and we wasn't on the rich, fancy Lake Paul Wallace side. We were on the other side, over there in the edge of the woods. And anyway, my next door neighbor and us were real good friends. And I had a PSE Edge Series 1000, and back then you didn't have carbon arrows, you didn't have all this stuff, but they had overdraws. Do y'all remember what an overdraw is for your bow? So where you have your rest, it would cut off like 6 inches of your arrow to do an overdraw. So you could mount it where all the way back to your set string. And so I was only shooting like a 16-inch aluminum arrow. So that's how you got speed, was to shorten that arrow up. And oh man, this thing's gonna shoot so flat. I'm gonna shoot it 40 yards. And if you got in the very back corner of our yard and shot to the very other corner, you could get 40-yard shot. And man, I sailed that thing out there and went right over that target and right into my neighbor's air conditioning. And I was like, oh man. Well, luckily my daddy was a heat and air guy, and it didn't tear nothing up. But yeah, we had aluminum arrow stuck through the side of a air conditioner. All I could think about how many whippings I was gonna get. That thing quit working, Now,
I had that little practice bow I was telling you about. It's just got the little rounded tips on it. And this was when I was little, because I was like, yeah, I'm a bow hunt, because my dad had a bow. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And you know how they got the dog boxes, right? The little aluminum dog boxes. See, I was dumb when I was young, like really dumb. I was like, well, that looks good enough to be a target. I was taking them practice arrows and I was just singing them through that thing. Because it was like a 30-pound pullback or something like that. I mean, it had a little bit behind it.
Yeah.
My dad come home and there was 3 holes in it. I figured it was just going to knock right off of it,
Yeah.
No, they went through it, and he's got 3 holes right through his dog box. Man, I went inside and hid. He come inside. He said, why my dog box got holes in it? I said, I don't know.
You toted one for that one, didn't you?
I've been in here all day, huh?
Did you tote one for that?
Nah. Wait, you talking about a buck hunting?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they but no, I love those bows, man. I swear they
come a long way.
oh gosh, and I bought a fairly cheap one. I didn't go buy nothing fancy, but I still, like, I'm gonna hunt just like this afternoon. Now I do have on like a little leafy pair of pants I'll put on over my shorts, and I got a pair of rubber boots I'll slide on, and but I hunt in khaki shorts about all the time. And
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm leaving my options open when I get famous. All my people, that way I won't be pushed nobody off or shun nobody that comes in with these big high dollar deals, is what I keep telling everybody.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll put on a little leafy jacket and a thin one, and I go hunting. And I tell you, I bought a cheaper bow though, and it's a Matthews Tactic, I think. And man, that something nice. I mean, it just feels good. It shoots fast, and I know there's a lot better out there. But last year I had 14 opportunities with a bow. I didn't shoot one time, and I brought home 12 deer. So 12 out of 13 I brought home deer, and the other one I found her the next day, but the coyotes had beat me to her. I just shot her a little bit high, and that was my fault. But that ain't half bad.
Well,
You know,
I forgot you had them deprivation permits, ain't it?
when I say I get, and yeah, I probably need to mention that so the game warden don't start calling
Yeah, I was
me.
about to say, whoa.
I get,
Green Cheek's gonna be at the door when you get home.
we get the quota tags because we got so much land.
Yeah.
We get quoted. We get 80 doe tags and about 18 buck tags for 3 of us.
So it's kind of like a club, like in a way with the tags.
That's right. We set it up like a club, and then we do, you know, that way. If we carry kids hunting, any deer that's killed on our property has to be tagged with those tags. You can't use your personal ones on there. And then we have other pieces that we hunt that you can shoot your own tags. But it's yeah, I didn't want everybody to start freaking
I was
out.
about to say he knows a secret to get more tags.
Well, you can get them if you got the land, but you got to have a land base to do it.
I know earlier you said something about how you used to crow hunt.
Yeah.
What is even the best way to do that? Because I just, for whatever reason, cannot kill one of those.
Go turkey hunting.
That's a good way. Sit in the cornfield. No, I'm just kidding. I told you we had the ones that old Johnny Stewart calls, that were, man, that was the ticket back then. But I've got one, I think it's the Alpha Dog collar now, and it's got a remote control, and then you set the box out there, and it's got all the sounds pre-made into it. It's what we still hunt with when we do it. But go get your owl decoy from any hardware store, like they put to keep rats out of your barn or whatever, or birds out your barn. Get one of those owl decoys, put it on a wooden dial or on a stick, and a little piece of black cloth that looks like a crow wing. And I used a little alligator clamp and crimp it on so that hangs and the wind kind of blows. It looks like a crow or owl's got a crow.
Yeah.
And on that alpha call, there's a crow in distress and there's a crow and owl fight. And man, the crows can't stand it. And I like to find a young pine plantation close by, and where you can shoot out the top of it, and you put that kind of in a road or on the edge, and you get up under them pines. And it's not as good as it used to be. There's a lot of people that kind of do it now, but at one time nobody did it. And in the morning, start hunting at 8:00 in the morning. By 11, we'd have 40 or 50 crows. But you'd shoot for 20 minutes here and then move. A lot of people tell you to set up a blind like you do duck hunting in a cornfield. I don't want to sit in one spot. If I'm going to sit in one spot, I'm going to hunt something else. But with the crows, I'll take all our farms and kind of get a day when it's clear and they can hear good. And I move around and shoot them spot to spot. But a lot of people that go set up like a little blind and get in a blind and put you a couple of decoys out, and they'll call, and every time a group of crows come through, they'll come in there and check it out. But I personally like to move. I just don't like to sit still that long.
There was one time me and Dylan in the backyard of our house. Dylan had that little electronic call with the box with it. It had so many animals on there.
That's
you could
right.
call.
Yeah.
Dylan sat a box in the backyard and put some black Hanes socks in the yard. And I was shooting a little pellet rifle. That was a waste of our time right there.
Believe it or not, that probably worked. I mean, a crow's pretty smart. I don't remember how old they say the crows live to be, but it seemed like it was 30-something years old. I mean, a crow lives a long time, and they're smart. And that's why I like to move. I don't like to set up. Worst thing in the world, man, you set up on something like that, and then all of them kind of know what's going on, and you just stuck after you spend all that time setting up. So, to me, shooting crows is fun, especially when they're migrating through. Have you ever seen a migration of crows? Man, if you get on the river and stuff, a lot of times in the winter, and you don't notice it unless you can see a long ways. But they actually migrate. You'll see big flocks coming down at one time. I've seen it 2 or 3 times in my life that I've actually seen it and said, "Oh man, that's unusual," But when you start getting new crows in, now the ones that's been here every day that we've shot a time or two over the years, you ain't killing them rascals. You have to get a rifle out or something if you want to get rid of them. But we try to, that's part of our predation thing. We just try to get rid of some of them just to keep, because they do eat eggs and cause some trouble like that with your turkeys and quail and stuff. So
we hadn't even made it to Africa. We hadn't talked about ducks, but I don't know how long we've been at it for We've been talking for over an hour and a half. So,
Well, real quick, you go to Africa, carry a pocket full of money and shoot everything you can shoot way over there. It's hard. It takes a lot of time and money to get over there and get back. And I was cheap, as I said earlier. We won a hunt to go over there, and 4 of us got to go for $1,400. And usually for a couple to go, it's about 12,000. And so we got to go for $1,400. We had $350 a person in it when we went. So we and I was cheap, and I wouldn't shoot a giraffe. Everybody, I was like, I can't shoot a giraffe, man. They just pretty, I see them in a coloring book and all. That was one of the meanest things. They fought like teenage boys. Every time we saw giraffes, they were fighting and hitting each other heads. I wish I'd have shot a giraffe. But anyway, just too cheap to shoot one. But if you go, just go ahead and spend it. If you go over there, have fun with it. And cause there's stuff over there that we would see. There's a little deer called a clip springer, little tiny. He probably don't weigh 20 or 30 pounds. And they got little short, spiky horn. I'd love to go back just to hunt them. They are tough to hunt on those little hills, but a clip springer is a rock jumper. That's what it means in Afrikaans. But, and that's the language they speak. If you go on bear hunting, go to North Carolina, not to Canada. I went all the way to Canada, Ontario, Canada bear hunting, thinking I'd get a bigger bear, and our bears in North Carolina are way bigger than the bears up there. Learned that lesson, but that's the only time I ever been to Canada was after a bear. And, but we could go on and on about them.
Yeah. Yeah. So we probably need to cut it off, but yeah, I know a lot of people have big problems with people going to Africa to hunt, but the podcast I listened to, they took a trip to Africa and they were talking about how amazing it was. And there's just as many, and from what they say, like I hadn't been, but there's more animals there to hunt, and it's like almost like it's overpopulated. Is it?
No. All right, so where we hunted, we got there, and all right, first of all, landing in Johannesburg was scared the crap out of you. Like, I did not want to spend the money to have a bodyguard pick me up at Johannesburg, and I was like, I'm too cheap. I'm not gonna do that. I'm tough enough. I'll make it. I would have hugged that son of a gun's neck when he called, because they were swarming us, the people from there, and we didn't speak their language, and they didn't speak ours. And Whitey Van Zyl and Audi, both were there, and Whitey yelled something across there, and when he did, it was like they parted the Red Sea, and we went to them, and they knew not to mess with us anymore. If you ever go, get a bodyguard when you land in Johannesburg. So then we get out there and we pull up, and there's a fence about 12 foot tall that we're going into. And it was not like a chain link fence. It was just like hot wire fence, like you see around a cow farm, but it was 12 foot tall. And I told him, I said, well, I don't hunt the fence. And he said, that fence ain't for the animals. That fence is to keep you safe. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, we got 10,000 acres with that surrounding it. He said, and that's to keep you safe. It was electric fence to keep poachers from getting in and hurting us while we were in there hunting. So I was like, okay, let's get in that fence. I went from I ain't going in there to I'm going in there and staying in there. But man, when we got there it's kind of nerve wracking with the poachers and stuff because of how dangerous it is. But okay, so the poachers were killing so many animals that the game farms pretty much had to say, or the government and the game people, they had to get together and just say, we're protecting all animals because that's a source of income. Well, now, as long like everything we killed, they gave the meat to the locals. I was going to give them the heads and the hides. I grew up just like y'all boys seem like, and nobody I've ever ate supper with has ever said, hey, my Impala's bigger than yours. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. When I got there, they like, you want to shoot a black wildebeest or a blue wildebeest? And I'm like, I just want to shoot something, you know? So it didn't mean anything to me, about the horns and all that. And I was going to give them away, and they wouldn't let you because they don't want the poachers starting back up poaching heads for money again. So there are plenty of game, or there is plenty of game. There are a lot of places who put a lot of effort into having game, and they're very strict on their poachers. Years and years ago, they used to say that you could shoot poachers on site. I don't know if they still let them do that, but if they catch a poacher on there, I mean, you imagine all the little rednecks around here they'd be in trouble. They'd be a bunch of bird shot people around here,
man.
you know. But they protect their wildlife over there a lot different than we do ours. But
the animal hunt just turned into a person.
Yeah. But all those tribes over there need to meet to live off of.
Right.
And the people who own the land, the farming's not that great because it's part of a desert. So that's just like their farming. You know, that's no different than you going to a man's soybean field around here or his cornfield and just doing donuts in it if you're killing stuff for no reason.
Yeah, that's true.
So they don't want anything killed just to be killed.
What country were you in?
I was in Thamzibi, which is a little area, but I was in South Africa. So if you look at South Africa, Johannesburg's kind of in the central part of it, and we were about 4 hours north, right on the Botswana border. It's actually really safe there with the animals. They don't allow any hippos, crocodiles. I mean, when we got there, they told us, I mean, they had a list of animals, leopards, stuff like that. They're like, if you see one, kill it on sight. You know, we don't allow that because it hurts their tribe people and the local people. So they don't let any dangerous game stay in that area we were in. Now there's some on the western side, the Western Cape, and then Cape Town and all that still have some places that have some hippo and some lions and stuff, but there wasn't anything like that where we were at. You'd had to drive another 4 or 5 hours to see anything dangerous, I guess you would say, from where we were at. But I wanted to shoot a baboon, and man, I got on a group, they call them a troop. We got on a group of baboons, and I swear they looked like little people up there fussing. Like the big ones would hold the little ones' hands, and they were walking and like barking at each other and hitting them with switches and stuff. And I was like, I can't do this, man. It feels like I'm shooting somebody at home, you know. So I didn't ever shoot a baboon. I killed a wildebeest and a warthog, and my wife killed an impala. And the wildebeest he would have scored really well. I don't remember what the measurements were, but he was really nice. But once again, they were like, "You want to score him?" And I was like, "Nope, he's biggest one I ever killed. I'm good with it."
Yeah.
You know? But one of the guys would have shot a zebra and an oryx and some stuff like that. But it's unreal, man, all the different animals over there. And that's one place I'd love to go back.
Yeah.
We're, like I say, but this year, I can't go this year. We're going, I'm going to shoot Spanish goats in Hawaii or Hawaiian goats in Hawaii in February, I think. We're going to Oklahoma duck hunting and into western Texas to shoot the cranes. And I'm going in right there at West Texas, Mexico to shoot the sheep. So I'm kind of booked out this year on what I can spend hunting.
I got one question.
What's up?
What do you do for a living?
I'm very cheap about my hunting. But I've got a lot of friends I've met over the years that look after me on a lot of these hunts, but I'm in the forestry business. I do forest management with, we do skidder spraying, helicopter spraying, hand spraying. We set it up and then replant trees on it after it's clear cut. And then we have quite a big portfolio of rental property. And then we sell, the prefab outdoor buildings. Like you see all these little ones that they move around, little sheds, they move around truck. We got a building lot and ladder. We sell those. Got my fingers in a few things, and,
Sounds like it.
But when it gets time to hunt, we just have to shut everything else down or let somebody else run it till I get back.
Time to hunt, man.
Yeah. But
Oh, that's cool. You got it going on. I need to
No.
jump in your hip pocket.
Yeah.
no,
You think you could pack me in a suitcase?
if you get on that plane, you'd be a little bit expensive on that check bag. If it's over 49 pounds, they get you.
Tell them I'm your bodyguard.
Well.
I get out there to Africa, somebody be talking about something. Like, whoa, be out there with a dart gun.
The one thing I learned in Africa is like donkey is thank you, but mora, I think it's mora is good morning, and mora is you something else.
Well, hold on.
That's too
Then
close.
Too close.
Madagascar lied then, because moto that comes up, the hippo that comes out the water. I had to watch this the other night. But moto,
Yeah.
they say that means hot.
Yeah.
But it
So
may be.
somebody lying.
Man, there's all kind of dialects, and Afrikaans is one of the newest languages, is what they told us we were over there. But where we were at, they spoke Afrikaans, and the guys we were hunting with, they would speak 6 and 7 languages fluently. So if you started learning the language they were talking and they didn't want you to know what they were talking about, they would just switch to German or Dutch or whatever. And it was just
Holy
like,
crap.
yeah, I was just like, I'm out, but I was trying to learn some of the words just to talk to the locals,
Yeah.
But like I say, if y'all ever want to go on some of them, I can get you hooked up with the right people.
I don't know if I need a bodyguard and a 12-foot electric fence.
Yeah.
I just, so what, y'all landed the plane and they were just surrounding the plane, or?
So you land in Johannesburg. It's a huge airport. I would guess it's like going to Chicago or Dallas or somewhere like that. It's a huge airport. And when you come off the tarmac, there's not a soul in the airport that you see. Like you walk straight in the bathroom, walk straight until you get to customs. And when you get to customs, it's the South African government people. And you do the custom stuff, and you leave customs. They don't say, go this way, go that way. You're just in an empty, wide open airport. And I saw a little red exit sign. I was like, well, there's the exit, and we took off over there. When you open those doors, they don't let anybody in the airport. But when you open those doors to go out into the public part of it, man, there's not a lot of money over there. So anybody landing and coming, they want to give you a ride or whatever. But you don't know who's trying to rob you, or who's trying to give you a ride, or who's doing what. I mean, you literally just walk out the door and it's like hundreds of people are surrounding you, and you can't tell what they're saying. They can't tell what you're saying. Man, I was so happy to see those 2 bodyguards, but it was unreal. And I'm going to carry my kids back. I really want to carry them back. So it wasn't that scary after you see it. But when you first walk out that door, if you're not prepared for that, that was the one thing nobody prepared me for when I got there. But
Maybe one day.
I could see Lakeland now coming out that door. She'd be like, yeah. She might speak their language.
She might. Well, Jaime, we do appreciate you coming on.
yes, sir.
It's been pretty full of knowledge, so learn some things.
Hopefully useful, not just all some old stuff. You know what I mean?
No. We learned some stuff today. It's been good.
I told you today, I said, I want to talk about conservation, on how to do things to better it. And all I talked about was stories,
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of our crowd is people kind of our age, younger crowd coming up, and you're talking about conservation, and back in the day, you just wanted to kill stuff.
That's right.
And that's kind of where we're at right now. But I see where the conservation side plays a huge role in the future.
A guy with DNR, and I know we've talked about, we got to stop, but a guy with DNR, I was talking to him one day, and this is after I'd calmed down and kind of quit doing things. And I told him, I was like, man, I said, I did some things hunting that at the time was so much fun.
Yeah.
But looking back now, I'm just like, boy, that might be why we have a population problem, And he told me, he said, every young hunter wants to kill. That's why they start hunting. He said, very few of them care anything about it while they're going. It's just they go, the thrill of the kill is it. And he said, and eventually you get to where the killing's not as important as the peace and quiet, the peace of mind. He said, and it seems like after a few years of you sitting up there being quiet, not worrying about killing, you realize that the most important part is having this for the next generation. And there's an old forestry saying that kind of ties into that. You never know true conservation until you plant a tree that you'll never sit under the shade of. And if you really think about that, and I try to keep that in the back of my mind with what we do, we plant hardwood trees every year. I won't live another 60 years. If I do, I probably won't have the mental capacity to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I probably won't live 60 or 80 more years to see white oaks that are fully mature. I probably won't get to see that, but I've enjoyed it while I was here. And man, I make my living off forestry and cutting timber and all that, but I still get giddy when I walk in a stand and see a white oak ridge somewhere. especially turkey hunting. We turkey hunted in Alabama this year on some game management that you had to carry a boat to it. I mean, it was crazy to get to it and didn't kill a turkey. But they had white oak ridges in there that were natural. And man, I didn't care if we killed a turkey or not. I mean, we didn't even hear a turkey gobble one morning. I just sat down up under a white oak ridge and just sat there.
Yeah.
And I was like, we just don't have this at home anymore. So I'm trying to put that back. So maybe my kids or grandkids will get to see that one day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, growing up, you and us and everybody else kind of hunted and was in the outdoors because of somebody else's hard work and effort.
That's right.
And I guess at a certain point, it's your time to give back. So
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm doing as good as they did, but I'm trying. You know, we do carry a lot of kids. We carry a lot of people. I try every year to make sure we carry somebody and introduce them or, you know, just at least let them see it. So, with the trap and I urge any of you or your viewers, whatever y'all want to shoot me a message. We do our trapping stuff. There's some people out there that trap. Oh, well, this is a lesson you're going to have to pay to go with us and learn about trapping. If anybody's willing to start trapping, I'm happy to take them, happy to carry them with us, ride with us. There'll be some times when I'm like, do not get out my truck. You're sitting here, you can watch out the window, but don't get out and touch nothing, especially if I got a coat that's giving me a fit or something. Cause I don't like leaving the scent there, but I carried a 4-H group. We didn't get to carry them this past year. But I try to carry a 4-H group every year and they ruin it. Cause there's probably 25 people and they all get out, want to see everything we catch and they leave scent everywhere. And so we usually carry them and then we have to switch farms the next day because of it. But if there's anybody willing to start trapping or helping or, I don't have the time I used to have. I've helped people set up places to hunt just with what knowledge I have. I'm not saying it's the best or anything, but with what I have, I'm always kind of an open book. I try to help people. I'm happy to see other people successful in the woods. It's not about me killing something all the time. So if y'all ever want to start trapping or need a question or whatever, shoot me a message. It might take me a day or two to respond sometimes, but I'll get to you.
Yeah.
You know,
that's cool. We might have to hit you up on that one day. I've never been a part of that. So
trapping, if you ever want to feel stupid by a possum, trapping's the thing to do. I've caught some coyotes that people said, oh, you can't catch him. He's out, and go in there and catch him the first day. But, I told a farmer the other year, he had some stuff going on and I was like, man, I'll catch everything you got a little cocky. And I had a possum beat me for 10 days straight. He digged my trap up. I set 2 traps and tried to offset and he dug both traps up. And finally I put a camera up. I thought it was a fox that was smelling the trap and it was a stupid possum. And boy, you talking about feeling low, man. I just felt like an idiot, but, we finally shot that possum. We never caught him.
yeah.
But anyway, so I'm like I say, I ain't the best, but I'll sure help anybody I can with what I know.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for episode 9. It's been a good one. We appreciate you coming.
I appreciate being here.
You ain't got long. You got to hit the deer stand.
Yep.
So hope y'all enjoy.
You going with the bow?
Yes, sir.
Is that all you do now?
I said this year I'm not going to shoot one with a rifle, and I had a 10-point show up a couple nights ago in a bean field. I'm going to carry the rifle one day at least, you know, but I'm backing up already.
Yeah. Well, hope you guys enjoyed it. It's been a good episode. We will catch you guys on episode 10 next week. Rut and Duck out.